All right, today we're going to put the final touches on our retouching project here by doing a little skin softening. So basically we're going to go from here to here, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. So let's get started. I'm going to delete this layer so we can just start over fresh and open up your image you've been working on. And it should look just like this over here in our layers panel. Find this liquefy layer. This is the last layer we did, the one where we made him just a little bit skinnier and cleaned up his hair a little bit. We're going to duplicate this layer by pressing Command or Control J, and that's going to give us a copy of the layer. Let's rename this layer by just double clicking right here on the words and calling this Skin Soften. And then we're going to do some weird things here, so stick with me through to the end, okay? We're going to invert this layer first off by pressing Command or Control I on your keyboard, and that's going to turn it into an opposite of itself, which is great looking. Then we're going to come up here where it says Normal. These are our layer blend modes, and what I want to do here is click on this Normal, and we're going to change this to Vivid Light, which I know is making it look even worse. Don't worry, we're going to get there. Then we're going to come up to the top of our screen, and we're going to go to Filter. We're going to choose Other, and we're going to go to High Pass here. Now, how do we know what number to put in this radius box for high pass? Well, what we're looking for is a number that's high enough that we lose the detail in the skin, but not so high that we start to get like these weird glowing effects or artifacts in the photo. So you can see if I put this way down at 2 or 3, I can still see all the imperfections and the details in his skin. So I'm just going to start raising this up until that skin looks perfectly smooth, almost blurry. You see it's getting there, but I can still see some detail on his chin, still see some detail here on his upper lip and his forehead. So let's go a little bit higher. There we go, 27.5 is we got rid of all the detail, but we're starting to get a little bit of this glowing in the mouth, so I'm going to bring that back down, down just a little bit. I have found that right around 18 or 19 works really well when the person is close to the camera. If they were far away, like maybe we could see their whole body, 18 or 19 might be a little too high, but in this case, I'm going to go right around 18, not 13, right around 18 to 19, getting a little bit of glow in his mouth, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that because the skin is smooth, and if I go any lower, I start to see detail coming back in that skin there, so I think right there in that 18 to 19 range is perfect. So let's go ahead and press OK on that. Then we're going to come back up here to Filter. This time we're going to choose Blur, and we're going to go down to Gaussian Blur. And what this is going to do is this is actually going to bring some of the detail back into the skin for us. So you can see it's actually a little bit opposite. The lower my number is, the more blurry my image is, and the higher my number is, the less blurry it is. So if we did 18 for the radius in the last one, somewhere around 4 to 6 is going to be ideal for the Gaussian blur. It's usually about a third or so. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that gives me a starting point. And again, what I'm looking for here is see on his cheeks how we can see his pores and whatnot? I don't want to lose those. If I get rid of those, his skin is starting to look too perfect. It's starting to look like a Ken doll, and we don't want that. We still want to see the detail. We just want it to be softer. So I'm going to just bring this up until I can start to see detail in his pores, but that the skin still looks pretty smooth. And so basically, I want this number to be as high as it can be, but still give me that nice skin softening effect. So right around 6 isn't bad. I would say somewhere between 5 and 6 is fine. If I have to, I will always err on the side of doing too much. I'd rather have too much skin softening than not enough, and you'll see why here in just a minute. So I'm going to leave it at 5 and go ahead and press OK. And there you go. We've softened up the skin, but we got a problem in that we softened everything. His shirt, his hair, the background, his eyes should not be softened. That looks weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a layer mask here to kind of decide what's going to be soft and what isn't. So what I like to do, and this is going to be a little weird, so hear me out, is I like to add a layer mask, right, by clicking on this button right down here at the bottom of the layers panel. And I'm going to press Command I to invert it. And we just fill that layer mask with black, meaning we can't see any of our softening because we've revealed everything that is below this layer. Remember, black reveals, white conceals. So now I want to start concealing, so I want to bring back that skin softening. So I'm going to grab my brush tool, keyboard shortcut B. I'm going to make sure my foreground color over here is white by pressing D on my keyboard. And then I'm going to use a big soft brush. So Control Option left click on a mouse, Move to the right to change the size. Left and right changes the size. Up and down changes the hardness. I want a very soft edge brush, so I want that hardness to be at 0. And pretty big brush like that. And I'm going to paint some of this softness back in. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint it over his entire face. I think it's easier to do it this way, where I just paint everything in, including the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And I know I just said don't soften those things, but I think it's a little bit easier to do it like this, where you just paint everything in, and then press X on your keyboard to switch your foreground and background color. So now we want black to be our foreground color. Make your brush smaller, and then we're going to just bring the detail back into those eyes. So let me zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing here. You can see we're bringing that sharpness back into the eyes. I don't think this looks very good on hair, so let's do the eyebrows. I think we need to do the tip of the nose right through there. Perfect. And then the mouth. So we're painting with black here to bring back that detail. We're revealing what is in the layer underneath this skin soften layer. We're revealing what was there on the liquify layer and bringing that back. So let's zoom out a little bit. And that's still too much, right? And this is why I said I'd rather have too much on the skin softening, because just as always, we can always come into our skin soften layer and we can lower down the opacity. So I like to always start right around 75%, and then I'll come down here and I'll turn it off using this little eyeball and turn it back on and see if it looks pretty normal. It's pretty easy to overdo this, you guys, so always err on the side of having a little bit less than you think you might need. I think that looks pretty solid right there. So there you go. We've just added some nice skin softening, and look at our before and after. Here's where we started a long time ago on this journey. This is what it looked like, and this is where we're at right now, and I think we've done some really great work here and really shown some awesome retouching. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to tie all of this together and turn it into what we call an action, which is going to save you a ton of time. So be sure to save this up, you guys. Remember, we always save it once as a Photoshop. So I'll go to File, Save As. Just make sure this is on Photoshop, and let's call this Retouching Skin Soften Finished. Wait for the blue progress bar here along the bottom to finish, and then of course let's save it as a JPEG as well, and the JPEG is what we will turn in. And I'll just leave the name the same there, change that to JPEG, hit save, and then whenever this box pops up, I like the number 10 right there, go ahead and press OK, and you are done.